Welcome to the Muddied Waters of Freedom with your hosts, Matt Wright and Mohammed Shaker.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For not Mohammed Shaker, I am Matt Wright, and together, well, not together because he's not here, I am traversing the muddied waters of freedom. And I would like to welcome on a very special guest today. My good friend Spike Cohen is taking over for Mohammed, and we have dubbed this show The Muddied Waters of Firing Mohammed. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, everyone. I am Spike Cohen, otherwise known as Mohammed Shaker 2.0.
Mohammed 2.0.
Yep.
The Alpha Mohammed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the Bitcoin fork that didn't happen. This was the Mohammed fork, and I'm Mohammed Cash or whatever the second version is.
Yeah, this is really weird because this is the first show that I'm doing without him, and I don't really know where to look because normally I look at him condescendingly, and
Right.
Now I'm just like, do I look directly at the camera? Do I look around? I don't really know how to do this one.
You can just look at yourself adoringly.
Oh, I mean, I do that normally.
I'm not on camera, so I'm not even worried about where I look.
Yeah, good point. I do appreciate you coming on the show. Mohammed had to work today for me, oddly enough. So obviously he wasn't able to make it. But we wanted to get the show on, and he was like, "What about Spike?" And I said, "Yes," because he is one of the funniest people I know.
I try my best.
So how about you tell everybody kind of knows who I am. So if you want to let everybody know about you, who you are.
Sure. I am a Jew. No, I am a Jew, but that's not normally what I lead with. But I will now. I live in the Myrtle Beach area. I am a Jew. I'm married to my wonderful wife for 7 years. I run I own a website development firm, and I just realized that there's not a lot about my life that I know. That's pretty much it. I'm an ANCAP, yeah, that's it's a lot more exciting than it sounds, but all of that is true about me, and I'm struggling at the moment to come up with much else.
Gotcha. So what I caught from all of that is that you're a Jew.
That's the key. If you take nothing else for what I just told everyone, my Jewishness slash Judaism is the key takeaway from all of that.
Excellent. All right. Well, dude. Okay. So much stuff happened this week. So much stuff happened this week. And let's talk about. I mean, last week Mohammed and I started out by talking about Kevin Spacey. So let's just talk about. Let's think. Everybody else.
Right. The entirety of Hollywood raping children. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I saw this great meme yesterday, I guess, and it said, on the scale of Casey Anthony to Hollywood, how much do you love children?
No, I don't fall in that spectrum. I don't think. I like kids, but not quite.
Right.
I'm
not on the I'm going to drown them to death, but I'm not on the I'm going to love them.
Yeah, I guess technically the middle of that, if that's a good thing. I'm not sure if the middle is I like kids a lot, but not in a weird way, or if the middle is I'm not sure if I want to drown them or rape them. If it's the latter, then I have nothing to do with that spectrum, and I unequivocally condemn it. If it's the former, then that probably square dead in the middle. That I like kids. Kids are nice.
Right. If that's like a negative 10 to a positive 10, I'm thinking I'm a 0.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Top dead center 0. Yeah.
Right. It's probably the only time in my life I'm okay with being a 0.
Is on the murder or rape kid scale is just I'm nothing.
I'm nothing. I am 0. I don't like either. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
well, it's we were talking about this before we went on the air. Corey Feldman tried telling us all of this since you and I were still teenagers. I mean, he was trying to tell us this for 15, 20 years now, and we all just thought he was, Corey Feldman, so we didn't really listen. Turns out Corey Feldman was as correct as about this as Jose Canseco was about steroids. So we should listen to these people.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's like, Corey Feldman, when he was saying that in the 90s, when he was going around saying, "Oh yeah, there's a huge pedophile ring in Hollywood," I mean, that was at the same time he was saying, "I've been shafted. I've been shafted for my acting abilities, and I deserve an Oscar." So you're going, okay, you're just way off the reservation on so many things.
Yeah, exactly. The Goonies was not Oscar material,
right?
Back of the rest of Hollywood. No, exactly, and that's what I thought too. And it's making me rethink, Cosmic Pizza and the gay frogs with the water. And it really, when Corey Feldman is right about something as big as this, you start to question, if jet fuel can melt steel beams. Everything just gets re-questioned, right? So.
Right, and I mean, you and I were talking a little bit before the show, but it is weird how Corey Feldman and the National Enquirer,
yep,
are positive, are accurate news sources. Alex Jones must have just the biggest hard-on for everything going on right now, because all of it is so crazy. It's stuff he wouldn't have come up with.
Well, it's Corey Feldman and the National Enquirer are telling us what's real, while USA Today is telling us about chainsaw bayonet. Although technically, I saw an article that is real. You can't get a chainsaw bayonet, which we were talking about hard-ons. I now have one. But,
you can get a real chainsaw bayonet.
It's a real thing. Why they would? I think they knew that they would get trolled over that. That everyone would laugh and go, "Well, chainsaw." No, it's a real thing. You can really get it. I'll inbox you the link later if you're interested. Christmas is coming around soon, but no, it's a real thing. But I mean, that's not the. I mean, they in a previous thing they had said, either they or CNN or someone had said, that you could get a 40 millimeter grenade launcher. So there's so-called real news telling us garbage, and Corey Feldman is trying to tell us the real for 2 decades, and we just won't listen to him because he's Corey Feldman.
Right, because he's Corey Feldman.
Exactly. National Enquirer is desperately trying to let us know that Rafael Cruz is out a free man, having killed JFK, and we just don't listen. We don't listen to these people, and we should.
Right. No, I mean, what I heard a long time ago was that the National Enquirer is a real news source. It's just they only back it up with one source. They're like, "Oh, really? Sure, we'll go with that." And a lot of times it turns out that it's true, and other times it turns out that it's not, which is why nobody really buys it.
Yeah. Well, that was like the John Edwards thing, when they were saying that John Edwards had or John, is it Edward or Edward? Anyway, the politician,
the former VP candidate.
The former VP candidate had fathered an illegitimate child, and it was the National Enquirer, and their only source was the woman who claimed it. And then it wasn't a month later that he's hiding in hotel rooms from reporters asking more questions. It was like, holy crap, this is real. This is a real thing. And his career was ruined. But so I guess it's just the broken clock theory that the National Enquirer has to be right twice a day or whatever. But I honestly will take Corey Feldman, Jose Canseco, or the National Enquirer more seriously than CNN right now at this point.
And I mean, I'll take any of them more seriously than the USA Today after the reports that they put out.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is it just because you say it in a more serious tone doesn't mean you aren't also making it up. Just because you can, you act more subdued and professional about it, but you're putting out lies. If Alex Jones is trying to tell you, and the thing is, we laugh about the gay frog water and all, that they're making the freaking frogs gay. The reality is he's talking about a legitimate thing, that there's stuff in our water that it's a chemical that they had demonstrated promoted transgenderism or something like that in frogs that was causing them to become hermaphrodites. So that's even real. So the thing we make fun of them for is a legitimate thing. They're not gay, but it is actually messing with their biological sex. So
not that there's anything wrong with that.
No. Big disclaimer. I am all for. I will never gender a frog in any possible way, but it is happening.
Oh yeah, I mean, and if a frog is gay, I'm totally okay with it. Any
if a frog is gay, that is between that frog and his creator.
Exactly.
No, not his. The Schmer, Zer, creator. Yeah.
Right.
We cover that.
But what I find so interesting is just the level of, okay, so there's this huge level of hypocrisy throughout all of Hollywood, obviously. And there always has been. But when you have the guy who I'm trying to figure out the right way to say this. The always angry Captain Sulu now being accused of groping a man back in 1981. You've got always angry Richard Dreyfuss recently accused.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear.
Oh, yeah, no, that one came out today. That one came out this morning. Richard Dreyfuss was accused of sexually assaulting or harassing women back in the 80s. Yep.
I take a trip to Walmart and come back and Richard Dreyfuss is a rapist. Like, it's just, it's light speed right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone completely insane. And, you know, Goose from Top Gun did not molest anybody, but he was molested by the director of Masters of the Universe.
Goodness.
And I mean, like,
we're slowly approaching a time when it will become easier to say who didn't rape or molest anyone in Hollywood. Like, you know, any of the classics will say, whatever movie, and it'll be featuring, this one person, featuring, Demi Moore, who did not rape or molest anyone during her career.
That we know of.
Yeah. What's that?
That we know of.
That we know, yeah. Asterisks everywhere, of course.
Right, yeah, because you never can tell.
Press time. Yeah, exactly. As of press time, Demi Moore has not been accused of raping or molesting. Watch, she'll be the next one after this.
I just can't see anybody accusing Demi Moore of that.
She was, you know what, and this might be subconscious, she was in that movie where she raped Michael Douglas.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
God, that movie was bad.
I know, it's terrible. Because why would Michael Douglas, anyway. I've talked about this before with, when you have these stories of these, like, incredibly gorgeous teachers. I know you're going to get a lot of hate mail on this one. And they're molesting, teenage kids. And, we're all supposed to, like, pull out our flags of outrage and, like, oh, my gosh, what a horrible thing. And I'm just thinking, like, ask the kid how he feels about it at the moment. And I'm sure there are times where the kid feels bad. Most of the time, they don't show this kid. You're going to get so much hate mail on this. Most of the time, they're not showing the kid because the kid is still smiling.
Oh, yeah.
And years later, and so, Michael Douglas, Demi Moore, who am I crying for there?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not really crying for Michael Douglas on that one. I'm more crying, like, same thing with Catherine Zeta-Jones. I'm crying for Catherine Zeta-Jones and Demi Moore in these situations because they're ending up with Michael Douglas.
Exactly. Like, that's, and again, I'm sure I've just made a whole lot of new friends with my position on this.
No, I mean, that is one of the hypocrisy things, and I subscribe to it huge, because all of these teachers, they're all really attractive teachers, and I'm like, where were they when I was in school?
Yeah,
and,
well, that's
yeah. But
and it's also, like, a lot of times this is a whole other subject, but, like, the teacher will be 23 and the student will be 16, which, again, yes, it's illegal. Yes, she's in a position of power. I'm not disputing that it's wrong. Like, I'm not saying, oh, it's fine, just let him do it or whatever. Like, it's a bad thing because, she's in a position of power. She's actually in a position of legal influence over him. She's technically the guardian of that kid during that time. So I get all of that. Stripping all of that aside, you're talking about in many cases, a hot 23-year-old with some, like, gangly, acne-ridden 16-year-old, and it's like, I'm shedding tears really hard for this right now. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, but
that's not what Takei and Spacey and Weinstein. They're like creepy old men that are forcing themselves on young impressionable people. So that's different, obviously.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was reading the list earlier. I don't have it pulled up anymore, but the list of people coming out like is just absolutely insane. Like Louis C.K., which shocked nobody. Louis C.K. Sexually harassing or using sexual misconduct or whatever phrase they were using for him. That
Right.
shocked nobody.
Right.
Just because we've all seen his act.
He's
And then,
sexual creep, so you know,
right, yeah. And,
you know,
and then
turns out he, yeah,
in his apology, which was awesome in my mind, it was such a Louis C.K. thing to say.
yeah. It went beyond an apology because he even like, to me, I read the whole thing and I'm like, he didn't just say he would, you know, you get this like, oh, I'm so sorry, I apologize to my wife and I apologize to my children. If anyone was hurt by what I did, whatever. He like outlined what he did and why it was wrong and, you know, why it shouldn't be excused. Like, in case anyone in the back rows was, you know, still saying, oh, well, you know, all he did was, you know, whatever.
Right. All he did was masturbate in front of people without their consent.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He didn't really touch him or anything. He like explained why it was wrong and why he should, you know, face bad things because of it, and that he's now going to just sit back and listen to what people have to say about it. Like, to me, that was beyond it was also an apology, but it was even more than an apology, too. So, future reference, George Takei, however you say it, that is what yours should sound like, or something similar to that.
Yeah, except I don't think he will ever fess up to it.
No.
Right. Last night, I think it was last night. It had to have been last night. Last night on Real Time with Bill Maher, he was talking about the difference between liberals and conservatives, and he said, we put our pedophiles in jail, our pedophiles and rapists in jail or something like that, and conservatives elect them. Obviously talking about Roy Moore and Trump. But,
but not Bill Clinton, though.
But not Bill Clinton. That was my thought. I was like, Bill Clinton is a rapist that we had in office for 8 years.
Right, yeah. And again, I'm not going to excuse Moore or Trump, but, you know.
No, not even a little bit. I think
in the political duopoly world, there is so much, you know, so much crap to fling around between the two of them that it's not worth singling, you know, one side of it, saying, oh, well, you know, Donald Trump said that he, you know, that they'll let him grab them because he's rich. And it's like, but y'all do that. Like, you're actually grabbing them because you're rich. He just said it. And he also was Hollywood, too. So really, he was, in that moment, just an extension of you, and you don't like hearing it.
Right.
So, anyway.
It was just brought to light what you guys do, and you didn't want people to know about it.
Exactly. He's just detailing to Billy Bush, who knew it before he even said it, that, you know, we're in Hollywood, we're powerful, we're rich. These boys and girls will let us do whatever because they want, you know, they want their piece too. And again, Corey Feldman, I would have loved if Corey Feldman had, you know, been able to do a quick hot take during that, you know, interview and say, yep, it's true, and then, you know, walk by or whatever. Because that's exactly what Corey was saying is like, you know, you sort of have to let them do this stuff to you if you're in those positions. And then here we are watching and again, the most smug, pseudo moral people on earth, you know, Hollywood and that whole crowd. I am thoroughly enjoying watching. I certainly don't want to hear about, you know, people getting raped, but if it happened, already happened, I thoroughly enjoy watching the entire thing air out. Hopefully, you know, our beloved, you know, resist figures doing the perp walk for, you know, raping a kid 20 years ago or whatever. I am thoroughly enjoying watching the whole thing.
Yeah, I've been enjoying watching all of that. Charlie Sheen,
Gosh.
whether or not he was the one that raped Corey Haim, I don't like the guy, but like he's coming out and he's like saying, no, it wasn't me, I didn't do it.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
Sorry, Charlie, like your lifestyle has led me to not really trust that.
Yeah, I have to sort of believe Corey Feldman, if only because he so far has been 100%. And
Corey Feldman wasn't the one that said it, was he?
Yeah, so initially Corey Feldman in a book said that Corey Haim was raped by someone during the filming of whatever that movie was called. Lucas, yeah. But he didn't say who it was.
Right.
And then I guess now, what was it, Corey Haim's friend or whatever said that it was Charlie Sheen. But Corey Feldman, however many years ago, I guess right after Corey Haim died, had written that, and at the time people were saying, "Oh, you're just trying to capitalize off of your friend's death or whatever." Again, stop sleeping on Corey. If Corey Feldman says something, just assume it's true, because he's been just dropping truth bombs for almost 20 years.
Yeah,
now.
I was going to say 20 plus years. Corey Feldman's been the speaker of truth.
Yeah,
which is a sentence I never thought I'd say in my life.
All the things that you would say. First of all, again, 10 years ago, phrases like President Donald Trump, possible President Democrat nominee The Rock,
right?
Truth speaker Corey Feldman,
right?
These are all the never will I ever that are happening in real time. So it's fun. That's also fun to watch.
Yeah, it's been 2017 has been the weirdest year I have ever experienced. I think, starting with Donald Trump taking office. But the whole Hollywood scandals is just insane.
Imagine the irony if the only Hollywood figure left who isn't accused of raping someone is Donald Trump. Like, just imagine that reality where we truly, he's the only one that has, although I guess technically his wife did allege that, but aside from no new allegations, and he becomes the cleanest of all of them because he only has the one allegation, and it was
right, because there's only one single allegation.
One, and he was married to her at the time, and not that makes sense. Let me.
I was going to say, let's backtrack on that one just real quick.
Let me just strongly condemn marital rape. I think that's bad, and I'm against it strongly. And I don't care how unpopular that makes me with the marital rape crowd. I'm against it. That aside, if he becomes the best of the worst just because it was only quote unquote marital rape, and everyone else has multiple allegations and convictions of non-marital rape, whatever that is, that would, at this point, it wouldn't surprise me.
No, absolutely not.
Yep.
I totally forgot what I was going to say after that.
Totally. Just want to recap against rape.
Against all rape.
Strongly against rape. I just want to, in case anyone missed that, there was like a stream lapse there or whatever. Rape is bad. All rape is bad.
Yes, all rape is bad. All rape is bad. I don't care where it's coming from. I don't care the relationship you have with the person. Rape is just bad.
Does not matter. Mohammed, I'm speaking on his behalf, is also against rape. All the three of us are all against rape. Everyone. So.
Yes. Everybody involved with the show is against rape. I'm pretty certain.
That watches.
Oh, and we also condemn racism. Unequivocally.
My timer, my condemning racism timer went off earlier, and I was just hoping I could shoehorn that in at some point. So now is as good a point as any. Racism is bad.
Racism is bad. Yes.
All forms of racism are bad.
Yes.
I'm strongly against them. Forward racism, reverse, like all of the different directional racisms, bad.
The diagonal racism, awful.
Yes, the rarely spoken of diagonal racism, totally against it.
100% against diagonal racism, reverse racism, forward racism.
Yep. Yeah. I'm any direction of racism is still racism, and they don't tell you that. And I'm against it, and I will be changing my profile filter any day now to condemn the various forms of racism.
Yes, absolutely.
With no reason.
Moving on to the next subject that we had to talk about. Rand Paul. This actually happened last Friday, but we didn't find out about it until after our show last week. But Rand Paul was assaulted by a neighbor while Mohammed's Bey, as I call him, was mowing his lawn. He was out there.
Bad.
Oh, he's broke 5 ribs.
When I heard he was assaulted, I picture typical assault of a politician, someone throws an egg at him or hits him or pushes him, and then a bunch of people jump on him and he gets a charge with assault. And again, that is still assault. You don't touch people, whatever. I'm strongly against assault, by the way. All of the various directions of assault.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I am against assault in the same way I'm against racism and rape.
the muddy waters of being against rape, assault, and racism. But so I assumed it was that type of thing. And then when I read, he's got broken ribs, and there was one report which I think wasn't true, that he was fighting for his life. Which I believe that was never the case. But I mean, the guy beat him up bad. Like, he was hurt really bad.
Yeah.
I was not aware of the fact that he was his neighbor. I did hop on over to the guy's profile once I got his name, so that I could see the obvious trolling that was going to be happening on all of his public posts, and that did not disappoint. Ironically, and I don't even remember the guy's name now, but all of his
Rene Boucher.
Yes, and a doctor, right?
Yes.
Yes, and so all of his most recent posts, which were, I think, a few minutes before he beat up Rand Paul, were about how violent Republicans are, and it was about the Montana legislator candidate who beat up the reporter, and there were a few other ones, and literally almost as though he wanted to leave some good, solid troll bait right before he spends, the weekend in the pokey. He had like 5 or 6 posts in a row that were all about how violent Republicans were, and I may or may not have left a comment or two.
That would, knowing you, that's not surprising even a little bit.
Hazy time in my life, I'm not sure,
right?
But very possibly. But I just thought it was hilarious, but obviously not hilarious that he beat up anyone. But I was not aware he was his neighbor. That would make sense that Time Magazine and Newsweek and everyone are trying to explain that it's okay that Ron Paul was assaulted because he gets in a lot of tips with his HOA over property issues. Oh, okay, well then that's fine. They beat him up then. Like I wasn't sure what they were trying to accomplish there in besmirching Rand Paul's good neighborly reputation to make it okay that he was beaten up by someone.
I think it was GQ that wrote an article, and the title of the article was "Rand Paul sounds like an asshole neighbor,"
which again, so shit out of him, right? Like,
right, yeah. So it's okay for somebody to tackle you while you're mowing
right?
your lawn.
Yeah, let's assault the man. By the way, I'm sorry, I did a Mohammed just then, but go ahead and break his ribs, because just do what the HOA says or your ribs get broken, I guess is the narrative takeaway from that.
Right.
Yeah, but no, and I mean, again, I'm an ANCAP. Rand Paul is hardly the, in my opinion, and maybe you may disagree, and that's fine, hardly the vanguard of libertarianism necessarily that I would.
I like you dropping Vanguard in there. That was nice of you.
Oh, of course, yeah, Vanguard. I'm big with catchphrases, big SEO.
Right.
No, but I mean, I can't call the man. I guess in the Senate, he's as close as you're going to get to that. But regardless, you don't beat people up. Like you don't beat someone up because you disagree with them politically. And I have a hard time believing that grass clippings fights.
Right.
Or whatever
that pumpkins going over into the guy's property line.
Right, yeah.
Or grass clippings or leaves or whatever it was.
I have to assume that, a senator, maybe not, but I would have to assume a retired doctor and senator lives in a decently sized community in terms of their lot lines where, I don't think the pumpkins are touching the guy's house. It's probably like, some perimeter area, however many 100 feet from the guy's home. Doesn't make it okay. Again, I am ANCAP. We are going to tactical McNuke each other over grass clipping. But while we are confined to the oppression of this state of society, we cannot assault each other for such things.
No, I absolutely agree. And it, like the way that I kind of see it is like if grass clippings went over onto the guy's lawn. Okay, yeah, like if my neighbor has done some really terrible things to my yard, right, in my own personal view of it. I was actually sitting at this desk that if you're watching me, you can see. I was sitting at this desk and I was doing work on the Bill Wolsifer for Attorney General campaign back in 2014. Okay. And I watched my neighbor walk her dog over into my yard. The dog went to the bathroom and then she walked the dog back without cleaning it up.
Oh, see, I hate that. I have dogs and they do poop and they don't really respect lot lines like a good libertarian should. But if they poop on someone's land, like it gets, well, first of all, even if it's on wherever they poop, it gets picked up because it's poop and you don't leave poop. Like, so that's
right, because that spreads things like disease.
Yeah, of course, exactly. I mean, that's a huge thing with any responsible dog owner. Are the hairs go up on the back of our head? Again, not a reason for assault.
No,
so
I didn't run out there and tackle her for it when she got back to her
Like,
yard.
Yeah, exactly. And then like drop an article to the local paper about how she's a bitch or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah, she was awful.
Yep.
She did this, so I beat her up. Yeah, no, I did not do that.
Yeah, no. And I'm picturing, I'm having a hard time picturing that if it had been, what's his name, Cory Booker, or someone on the other side of the aisle. I feel like we're defending Republicans a lot, which
I am not saying all Republicans are good. Like Roy Moore, I don't know if he did what they said that he did or not. I'm kind of waiting for the jury to be out on, like, because he's denying it, and I'm kind of waiting for that to kind of get settled. I am mad at the Alabama Republican lawmaker, who said, well, Joseph was an adult and Mary was a teenager, so it's okay. And I'm like, okay, no, you're an asshole.
Oh, yeah, no. There's so many things wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot. First of all, he didn't impregnate her with Jesus. God did, and that was in his infinite wisdom. So stop. Why are you doing? And then second of all, why are you even doing that? Like, there were so many things to unpack with that statement. Like, why do you feel yourself? If you ever feel that you're in a position where you need to defend a 30-something-year-old man possibly groping a 13-year-old, it's possible that maybe you should take a step or two back.
Right. You should probably take. And I'm also willing to bet that whoever that lawmaker is quick to jump on the Mohammed, not my co-host. The real one. Mohammed is a pedophile bandwagon.
Yeah. He's a pedophile because he adhered to the social standards at that time, which is that it was completely common, and not just it didn't start with Islam. It's true in Judaism as well, that, a middle-aged or older man marrying a young girl and then consummating with her as soon as it was physically possible to do so. Again, we don't do that now, and we're not okay with that now, but back then that was perfectly fine. It did not begin with Muhammad, and if you want to call him a pedophile, you're going to be calling a lot of your biblical heroes pedophiles as well, and that's certainly not a territory I want to go into. But yeah, no, if you ever find yourself where you're having to, hypocritically or otherwise defend, in the modern context, a 30-something-year-old man groping a teenager, then maybe step back and really think twice about why you're doing that, and if that's something you want to do. That's what I do. Because,
right.
Again,
that's
I'm strongly.
That's the way I look at it. It's just like I try to look at everything across the board, from that zero line of no, I don't want to rape kids and no, I don't want to kill kids. Like I try to look at them at that line, and that's everything.
Don't drown them.
Right. Don't drown kids. Don't rape kids. Like I'm really like right there in the middle. Don't do any of that. But so it's like
okay, so that's since we're condemning things, child murder. I'm gonna just do a very brave thing and speak on your behalf. Neither I nor Matt are in favor of murdering children.
No, not even a little bit.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, not even a little bit. Not a fan of the murdering of children. Ever.
In any direction. Yeah, no, that's very, very strongly against that. So
yes, very, very strongly against murdering of children as well as raping of children.
Yeah, especially for racist reasons.
Right.
But yeah, so moving on, I'm sure. But yes, also against assaulting Rand Paul.
Yes, very, very much against assaulting Rand Paul. Very much against assaulting pretty much anybody unless they are on my property.
Yeah, no, don't assault people, especially on their property.
Yes, if you're on my property, I actually have no problem assaulting you.
Yeah, in fact, it's actually not assault because they're on your property.
Exactly.
So
exactly, because private property.
Good, exactly, private property. So we're all on the same page with that.
Right, private property is the only real property.
Cannot murder children on your own private property.
No, you cannot. No, or you can't rape on your property.
You can't really shouldn't do any. That's all because their bodies are their property. So
right.
Again, it's private property.
So, with the exception of assault, Don't do anything else on your property.
Yeah, don't do anything except assault people on your own property.
That's right.
Okay, good.
Good. We did talk a little bit about the USA Today and how they're a joke of a newspaper. But that came because of their additions to the ARs because of the Texas shooting that happened outside of San Antonio. And of course, gun control is now back up for debate, and everybody's talking about that. But still, I mean, you said it earlier. We can get chainsaw. Actually,
get the chainsaws. They're called zombie chainsaws or something like that. I think there are actually multiple providers of that specific need. Apparently, that's a need. But no, it's a real thing. And again, this falls under the whole Corey Feldman. It's like the weirder the thing is, the more likely it is to be true.
Right.
I probably, when I saw a chainsaw bayonet, I should have said, you know what, that part's probably true. I was skeptical just because, well, first of all, it's a chainsaw, and second of all, because they had also just before that tried to say during the Las Vegas shooting that you could get a 40 millimeter grenade launcher, which I specifically knew not to be true. There is no civilian legal application, unfortunately, that allows that, nor do they bother making them for ARs specifically because they're for civilian use. There is no military use for, I don't believe the AR is sold for military use. So then when the chainsaw thing, I'm like, come on, guys, really? Like, but no, it's called, I think Zombie it's called, and it is a, I believe, electric chainsaw bayonet. If the bullets, if the rounds, if the 5.56 rounds weren't enough, then the chainsaws can do it.
Right. For the really close, when you can't get that good shot from 2 feet away.
Right.
Just click that chainsaw on and you'll be good to go.
Good to go, exactly. So, yeah, no, and of course the memes that came forth from that, where people were saying, the other things that are available, making fun of USA Today, and it had, the Death Star attachment.
Yes.
And the
I like they had the lightsaber attachment.
A lightsaber attachment. There was a corgi attachment, which I thought I had.
I did see that. Yeah, I saw the corgi attachment. I like that. That was.
Yeah, I had a little awe moment with that. It was like you disarm them with so I liked that. And there were a few other. I can't even remember. Full size. One said it said like literally full size F-16. And it had an F-16 attached to it.
Yes.
So again, all great attachments for your AR if you have one yet.
Yes. So like apparently you can just attach anything to an AR now.
That's AR stands for anything ready. Probably. You can just attach anything onto that sucker. Immediately is operational. Which is what makes it so deadly and why they need to be
right. Which
banned.
is why we need to ban them, because you can attach literally anything to it.
Nuclear warhead immediate attachment, and,
right?
Cheap too.
For the home nuclear weapons that we all have stored.
That are coming with our ANCAP future, the at-home tactical nuclear weapon.
Yes.
For the next Rand Paul tries to put his frickin' pumpkins on my land.
I'm just gonna attach my McNuke attachment to my AR and blow his pumpkins right out.
I like that the people that are against that like to besmirch libertarianism are that confident that McDonald's is going to control the market and everything from deadly weapons to child slavery. That's a vote of confidence that you don't see often in corporate America, and I'm sure they appreciate it.
Oh, I mean, McDonald's already owns like the houses that you build really quickly. They call them McMansions, like the huge.
Yeah, McMansions. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you got McMahon. Like anything that seems like at one point in the future will just be something that is done quickly and good enough, but not like you probably can't survive. Right. That's just going to be a Mick anything.
Yeah. Mick child slavery.
Yeah. Mick child slavery. We also don't condone child slavery here at the Muddied Waters of Freedom.
Definitely. I honestly, part of me wants to condemn McDonald's, but there's probably a big crowd pro McDonald's crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I can't condemn McDonald's because I eat there way too often to condemn it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It condemns me often Because now at this age, I eat a Big Mac and I need a nap. But,
Yep.
Like it used to be a Big Mac, I'd eat like 4 of them a day and I was fine. And now it's like I have one and I'm like 3/4 of the way through it and I'm like, what have I done wrong in my life?
And the Big Mac's like, we unequivocally condemn Matt Wright's future health process.
Right.
Right. So, yeah.
And anything that he wants to do for the next hour and a half of his life is just gone.
Right. Exactly. So I'm condemning what it does to you, not necessarily the entire. I'm condemning anything that harms my Matt Wright. So.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. McDonald's, they're like, well, he's going to eat it anyway, so I don't care. It's his 3 blocks from his house. Of course he's going to go.
Exactly.
So today is Veterans Day.
Yep.
Yes. So first I'd like to thank every veteran that listens to us and every veteran that doesn't listen to us, just not as much because you don't listen to me. But every veteran, thank you so much. We here at the Muddy Waters, Mohammed served in the Army. I was in the Army for a short period of time. You were not, correct?
I was not. I have not served, and I would like to thank any veteran or active duty or reservist who has survived the last however many minutes of me ranting.
Right.
I think not all heroes wear capes, and this was a big sacrifice for you, and I appreciate it.
Yes, no, absolutely, and this one's always such a weird one for me because I do appreciate every single veteran out there, and I am not the Arvin Vora kind of libertarian that thinks that. I thought the cops were coming for me for a second.
I was going to say, is this a preemptive police action against what they thought you were going to say?
Yeah, I was kind of concerned there for a second. I was like, oh, well, that was quick.
Put down this microphone. Yeah.
I don't think all veterans are murderers and anything like that. I do respect every veteran that you sacrifice things that many people will not ever sacrifice, and I definitely do appreciate it. That being said, we need to stop sending you into so many places that you need to be sacrificing these things.
Right. Yeah. I've said, and again, this is something I could have said earlier when I just kept saying I was Jewish, because I kept blanking. I was a neocon for quite a while. I was very, very strongly in favor of invading Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and spreading freedom, McFreedom across the Middle East, and so it was really, I was just sort of disabused by reality over and over again of watching how that actually plays out, and that sort of made me rethink everything and kind of get into the actual philosophical underpinnings of libertarianism and things like that, and get me to where I am today. With that said, I appreciate the mindset of people who believe that doing these things results in good things, which is why I don't. I'm not going to call someone who supports invading Syria, I'm not going to call them a murderer. I think it's more important to try to focus. If someone at that point told me I was a murderer, I was supporting a murderer, I would have zoned them out immediately because I don't want to hear that. Even if a lot of what they were saying may have had, they were ultimately what they were saying wasn't necessarily incorrect factually, but the whole honey versus vinegar argument, it's going to be hard to grab them with that. My thing at this point is the best way we can support the troops, the veterans, the reservists, the people that are thinking of joining, their families and everything else, is to stop using them as cannon fodder and stop having tens, hundreds of thousands of people, collateral damage being killed around the world, whose children then grow up to hate us, especially them. That's the best way we can support them, is stop using them as political props to some extent. And I think that much more than giving them a free meal or singing songs about their service or whatever else, I think not putting them in those positions and actually if they're going to be used for legitimate defensive actions, or better yet, not using them. If there's not a legitimate immediate threat to everyone involved, just not put them in that position in the first place. I think is a far better way to honor them and respect them than to use them as cannon fodder and sing rah-rah songs about it.
Oh, absolutely. And if there is some sort of if a situation comes up where there is immediate danger to us and to everybody involved, have a plan, like have an actual plan. Don't like we were saying earlier. Next year, there are going to be kids serving in Afghanistan who weren't alive when it started.
Yeah, and they are kids. Like, to me,
and they are kids.
Like, if it's not okay for them to bang their 23-year-old teacher, then they're still kids. Like, I mean, which by the way, I'm against that. But if they're not, if at almost 17 or at 17, they're not old enough to be okay with them having what we would consider consensual relations with an adult, but it's okay for them to take orders to potentially die and potentially kill other people in a far-flung country, however many thousands of miles away, who neither the military of that country nor the organizations that they're fighting in there have any immediate threat to us. Like, why? They're kids. They're still kids.
Based on every state in the nation, these kids are not old enough to make the decision to drink legally.
Right. Or smoke legally.
Yeah, many of them, it's 21 to smoke now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. Some of them are 17. Like, I mean, they are old enough to smoke.
True, I was 17 when I joined, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, exactly. So, and thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
Again, if you're 17 and if you're a kid when it comes to anything else, then you're a kid when it comes to that too. And so,
right,
and I'm not saying, wait till they're 18 to sign up or whatever else. It's just, we should be thinking of it that way. Like, instead of saying, oh, do you want the terrorists to win? It's more like, oh, do you want to send your 17-year-old kid to fight an organization whose lifeblood of recruitment is having your kid go over there and kill people?
Right.
Doesn't quite fit on a bumper sticker, but it's a more truthful statement.
I mean, if it's the entire bumper.
It's like the whole
bumper.
Getting a Hummer, ironically, and putting that statement across the entire 10 feet 2 inches of the rear bumper, and which would allow it to be a large enough font for someone to actually read it. Right. So we'll get on that.
I think it's my dad. Like, I also was a neocon at one point in my life.
Right.
And I actually had this really humbling moment. I don't remember how many years ago, because back in 2000 when the Iraq War was starting, or 2001, I was like, yeah, we need to do this, McFreedom, all that, put McDonald's on every corner over there. And, like, I would argue with one of my friends. And then a few years ago, I sent him the most humbling text message I've ever sent anybody, because I admitted I was wrong. And I'm never wrong. So, I mean, that's something that never happens. I think he's the only person that's ever received that text message. And I was just like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that 12, 14 years ago, however long ago that was, I was wrong and you were right. And he was just like, he responded with, what? And I was like, yes.
He hadn't quite cataloged it the same way you did in your mind.
Yeah. And I was just like, man, I have to admit that I was wrong in this situation, and that sucks. But, I was a neocon. My dad still is a neocon. And he has this awful, awful theory, or not theory, but this awful plan. He doesn't think 18-year-olders are old enough to vote. And he wants to raise the voting age to like 25-ish, 25, 27.
Okay.
And I was like, Dad, I'm not actually opposed to that, as long as you're willing to raise the age that you can join the military to the same age.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, no. And I was like, why? And he goes, because nobody would join. And I said, exactly.
Ah, there you go. How about that?
Weird.
And that might have been, expect a conciliatory text message any minute now, I'm sure.
Mm. He doesn't listen to this show.
Okay. Yeah, my dad's the same way. He's very neocon, very like, and also the Israel. You add the Israel element. Not sure if you know Jewish. You get the whole we need to be fighting for Israel and we need to be protecting Israel. And it's like, okay, it's not. I mean, again, I'm an anarchist, so what the Constitution says is sort of a secondary thing in terms of my belief system of morality of use of force or whatever. But there's nothing in the Constitution that talks about Israel or really anything other than a common defense. Common not meaning a small Middle Eastern country several thousand miles away.
Right. Yeah, my dad is very, very, very pro-Israel.
That seems to go hand in hand with the neocon thing.
It does, yeah. And I'm not anti-Israel.
Me either. Exactly. Yeah.
I've got nothing against Israel, but I agree with you on that. Our Constitution does not say anything about protecting Israel.
Right. And going a little bit further out into like a morality philosophical argument, using force to defend a political subdivision that is by most accounts able to defend itself, and thereby allowing it and the surrounding areas not to have to actually work together to do something, and instead of sort of this codependency enabling thing of coming in and acting as this bigger party that allows them to continue just slapping at each other. None of that is moral and none of that's just, and just to top it off, none of it's working either. So
no.
Again, any good psychologist, psychiatrist, counselor, whatever, can talk to you at length about the dangers of codependency and enablement and how creating inferiority complexes and everything else. That pretty much sums up U.S. foreign policy is making everyone into our saying, oh well, we'll just come in because we're better than you and we'll deal with it, we'll fix it, you can just do whatever you want, and that allows other countries to not have any defense and instead spend it all on fluff to get themselves reelected and then hate us because of the inferiority. It's codependency played out on a world stage, and Israel is just a microcosm of that.
I'd never looked at it that sorry for the weird pause there, but yeah, like it's codependency on a world stage. I like that.
Thank you. Which I'm against. I'm against codependency on any stage. Yeah,
I am against codependency on any stage, even though many people say I'm very codependent.
Any kind of tendency at all, including and especially on a world stage.
Right.
Really bad. Fully against it.
So. Yeah, dependency, including Yeah, I'm against all dependency. Regular.
Inter, I think is bad as well. Against that.
Yeah.
All of the various prefixes you can add to dependency that makes it a real thing are bad, and I'm against it.
Yep. So completely going off of any real subject, we've only got a couple minutes left, but
okay.
I'm just gonna drop this one on you. I made a Facebook status a while ago talking about my dependency and addiction issues.
Okay.
And you were very kind and messaged me to check on me and see how everything was going that night to make sure I was doing okay. And first of all, I wanted to thank you publicly for that because that was very, very nice.
Absolutely.
And which goes into the dependency. We're not fans of it because I'm a dependent person.
Right.
But I want to say thank you for that. Also to let you know that pretty much all of them except for that one thing that I talked to you about, and you were like, wait, forever? And I said, no, not that. Everything but that's pretty much gone. So, that's cool.
Good. Yeah, and that's something very close to me. I was a drug addict for 10 years, and so and I was blessed that when I was ready to stop, it was relatively painless. I hear some of the other nightmare stories people have when they stop and they end up in a hospital. None of that with me. I even stupidly a couple times afterwards tried it again just to see if I liked it, and I didn't like it. So I mean, truly, God just touching me and saying, "Hey, stop it already."
Right.
So I'm very blessed that I was just divorced from that, whether I liked it or not. And so whenever I see anyone that's fighting and struggling and I have no desire to do it again either. So I mean, it's just completely removed from me. Thank God. So when I see other people that are dealing with any kind of struggle with it, I always try to make a point to encourage them and let them know that like you can get through that and you're going to be happy. Like whatever struggles you're feeling at this moment, however many days, weeks, months, years years later of being, clean and not dependent on that, you're going to feel better and happier and accomplished with that. So I'm glad to hear that. Very proud of you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, like I've been sober 3 years now, just over.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's been a hell of a ride, but like I still struggle. Like I still struggle with it. It's difficult. I have days where all I want to do is go hit one of the bars down at the end of the street and just say, fuck it, and just 3 years gone, don't care.
That's awesome.
But like
that's awesome that you've been 3 years, not that you still have those moments.
Right. But like it's always good to know that like I've got friends like you, and I've got friends here in town and stuff like that. That I can just be like, hey, I need you to come over like right now, or with you, I can just be like, hey, what are you doing? Just talk to me for like 30 minutes.
Right, just get me out of this mind space. Yeah, and obviously anytime. But
right, no, absolutely.
Again, it's there are people who can recreationally do different things, and they can just enjoy it occasionally, and it doesn't do whatever. For those of us that have certain things that we just can't do recreationally, like I can't smoke weed every once in a while. I'm either smoking weed all the time, every day, and it's my entire life, or I have to be away from it.
Or nothing at all.
Yeah, or nothing at all, exactly. Same thing with really anything, pills, alcohol, any of that stuff. So for me, it's like, I just completely remove myself from it. And for people that have those same struggles, to see that they're able to like, your 3 years for you and other people that have been sober even longer than I have, it's really good. And I think it's good for us to uplift each other, because there are going to be times where some of us are going to, have those weak moments and feel like we have to get our fix, or we have to do that thing in that moment. And literally, like you said, just talking to someone for a half hour, 20 minutes, a couple hours, whatever, get out of that headspace and be able to keep moving forward. That's all it takes. If that's, if I can do that, and that, that keeps you in your 3-year thing, then yeah, obviously, anytime.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely. And yeah, again, I definitely appreciate it. Yeah, it's I try to be there for anybody that has the same, that's going through the earlier stages. Right. And even like one of my best friends here, he's been sober. He's coming up on 6 years now. He was actually on the show for my 3-year anniversary show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But, he's coming up on 6 years, and, still there are days that he and I talk, and he struggles just as well. So it's good to know that other people go through it, and that if they're strong enough to beat it, I know I'm strong enough to beat it.
Right. Yeah, and it's not this like terrible boogeyman that's only happening to you. It's a thing that people go through, and then it ends, and you're not going through it anymore, and you can go forward with how you've been doing.
Right.
Just knowing that takes away a lot of its power. Just knowing that it is a normal thing and it's okay, and you feel it, and then it goes away, is a good thing.
Yes.
And we're strongly against addiction of any kind.
We are strongly against addiction of any kind, but if you are going through it, you can contact us.
Yes.
And I will be more than willing to talk to you for, as long as you need while you're going through it.
Absolutely.
Real quick, on December 2nd, we have our anniversary program coming on, and I don't know if you're going to be able to make it down to Florida, but it would be really awesome if you did.
December 2nd?
December 2nd.
I will let you know. That is possible. I may be. I will have to look at a calendar far longer than you'll be tolerant of me doing during the radio show. But I will try to figure that, and I will get back to you, because that actually would be awesome to do that.
Yeah, we've got. It's gonna be a cool show. We've possibly got a musical guest. We haven't really decided yet. The guy who makes Alu Ball and Alu bottles, he's going to be coming on to do a Tongan kava ceremony. Caleb Franz from Mill Liberty, which I'm going to be on his show on November 30th.
Cool.
He's going to be coming down, and Greg Bowen, who was I think he was our first guest on this show. He's going to be coming down, and we're all going to be doing a panel discussion on Trump's first year in office, and we're going to be rating it. And And we're going to be doing a live studio audience, and then we're going to be taking questions on libertarianism and politics. So
then I'm definitely going to try to be there for that, because that sounds awesome. Can we do dad jokes? Because Tom Woods did the dad jokes thing, and that was maybe like.
I was at the Tom Woods event. That was great when he and Eric collided. I'm totally down to do dad jokes.
Yeah,
I will destroy Mohammed.
I
will beat the crap out of Mohammed in dad jokes.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know if he can. I don't know if Mohammed can deadpan a dad joke well enough. But we can find out. We can find out.
Yes, I'm actually just going to throw that into the agenda without telling him. I guess I should tell him so he can actually look up dad jokes.
Well, he has plenty of time to Google dad jokes between now and the second. Like, I mean, he's.
I'm willing to bet he doesn't watch this episode because he knows you're going to be a better host than he is.
Well, I mean, I can send him Cliff Notes. I think ultimately, I don't think that Mohammed should be. This is too good of an idea to allow Mohammed's, possible not liking it to be a factor. Just my totally, unbiased opinion on it.
Yeah, so we'll do the kava ceremony, and then we'll throw in some dad jokes, and we'll do the episode, and then we'll do question and answers on libertarianism from the audience. I like it. Okay. You got a lot of good ideas. You're going places.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go somewhere.
Well, I forgot to thank Low Tide Kava Bar for the kava that I drank during this show, which I'm going to finish right now. So thanks to Low Tide. I'm going to be heading there in just a minute. I would invite you, but you're not close enough to get here in time.
I won't get there in time. No, I won't get there in time.
Yes. But thank you so much for coming on the show. I do appreciate it. Thank you for filling in.
Thank you for having any time that either you or Mohammed get sick of each other and just need to take a 24-hour break and need a non-visible minority to replace the other, then I'm here for you.
Well, so that's always going to be him. That's not going to be here because it's my house. So
okay.
I'm just going to be like, no, dude,
okay, that's fine.
I can't see you, Mohammed. Go away. I'm calling Spike.
Okay, that's fine. And I'm fine with that. I'm like I said, this is the muddied waters of replacing Muhammad occasionally. I'm fine with that.
I'm totally okay with that. And
okay,
I'm certain that Mo is too.
Vanguard of replacing
Muhammad. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to close out everything. Stay on after the exit, and I can talk to you a little bit more.
Good. Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for whatever. Please please share. December 2nd, Grassroots Kava House, downtown St. Pete. We are getting started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, going till whenever it's done. As you heard earlier, we're going to have a kava ceremony. We've got special guests. Apparently, Mohammed and I are now doing dad jokes. Mohammed doesn't know that, so if anybody sees him, let him know. It's going to be a great time. You can get tickets on they're on Eventbrite. You can get them on our website or on our Facebook, or the links on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Muddied Waters of Freedom. You can follow us on Twitter at Muddied_Waters or on Instagram at Muddied Waters of Freedom. This is really weird. Mohammed's not here. So remember, guys, where we're going, we don't need roads.